There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission.
The truth is, Trump resonated with the populism that InfoWars resonates with, and so the very tide that's lifted InfoWars lifted Trump. So yes, we do have some influence on Trump, but this is pretty much all Donald Trump himself. It's the fact that he interfaced with that feeling of the time of revolt against corporatism, revolt against the two establishment parties, that he was so successful.
They told me to ask for a loan, a small loan. They told me that I was not economically viable. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. How'd your loan work out? Did they give you a loan? He must be economically viable. There's a man with a smile on his face. I was not economically viable. No. I'll take that. Okay, here they come. This is what happens if you're not economically viable. Bye. Bye, everybody. Don't forget me.
The recent arguments concerning the First Amendment implications of banning Alex Jones from social media almost all make the same 2 points. The first is a qualification to the effect that Alex Jones is grotesque and that his conspiracy theories are meritless. Because Alex Jones has been demonized, this qualification is now a necessary appeasement in order to broach the free speech issue and censorship by the social media cartel, including Apple, Facebook, and Google. I won't make this qualification. In my opinion, Alex Jones is a serious journalist who has a sincere interest in informing the public of what he considers to be important facts on important issues. Furthermore, unlike the mainstream media, Alex Jones never forgets the first principle of journalism. This is the principle that governments lie, and that it is foolish to accept at face value anything the government claims about anything.
We didn't lie about WMDs in Iraq. We didn't cause millions of people to die. We didn't say Obamacare was free. We didn't say there weren't death panels. We didn't lie about thousands and thousands of things. We didn't, lie about funding, these radical jihadis. The government's been caught lying. The mainstream media's been caught lying. They've collapsed. So now the last refuge is to try to censor.
Alex Jones is fearless in questioning authority. He won't accept a dogma that the Earth is the center of the universe if the simpler formula for night and day places the Earth in a solar system of a sun within a universe of many suns. In addition, I have never detected 1 ounce of malice in him. He may be a different person in private, but from what I can tell, he has never had any interest in hurting anyone who is innocent of wrongdoing. His interest appears to be in finding and reporting the truth.
And we're promoting classic Americana that isn't liberal or conservative. That's about, do what you want as long as you don't hurt anybody, kind of the libertarian maxim, and build prosperity and to basically, kind of like you said, fake it till you make it. America having a lot of confidence and having a good time and being into fast cars and, great looking women and fully automatic weapons. I mean, who doesn't love that?
The second point almost everyone makes has also been reduced to a recitation. This point is that the members of the social media cartel are private companies, so that the First Amendment does not apply to them. Like the owners of a popular discotheque, it is argued that these companies can decide who gets on the dance floor, who doesn't, and who gets kicked out for having bad moves. I'm not convinced by this argument. Further, it strikes me as both un-American and unwise for these companies to exclude challenging or unpopular opinions, even if the politicians are pressuring them to do so. Let's start somewhere near the beginning. In their Declaration of Independence, America's founders declared that they held these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Of course, one of the liberties to which they referred is the freedom of speech. In fact, this right is guaranteed by the First Amendment. This right is guaranteed by international law as well. It was so declared in 1948 in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Then in 1976, freedom of speech was given a fuller articulation in the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. In paragraph 2 of Article 19, the covenant provides that everyone shall have the right to freedom of expression. This right shall include freedom to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas of all kinds, regardless of frontiers, either orally, in writing, or in print, in the form of art or through any other media of his choice. In paragraph 1 of Article 2, the covenant provides that the rights recognized are without distinction of any kind, such as race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status. This right of freedom of speech is also prominent in the ethos of cyberspace. In 1996, John Perry Barlow published the Declaration of Independence of Cyberspace. At the time, he likened his claim to the American Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence of Cyberspace is comically pompous in declaring that the Internet has no elected government, nor is it likely to have one, and that existing governments have no moral right to rule the Internet. Nevertheless, it is noteworthy that those who saw themselves as the pioneers in cyberspace thought to set the marker that the Internet is a world where anyone, anywhere may express his or her beliefs, no matter how singular, without fear of being coerced into silence or conformity. Obviously, this declaration has no binding effect. The Internet is not a law unto itself. The Internet is comprised of interconnected computers through which everyone can access data and programs from any site. The networks are run by service providers, individual companies, universities, and governments. These networks operate on open standards so that anyone can create content, offer services, or sell products without permission from a central authority. More philosophically, cyberspace is merely computer-mediated communication. As a result, the law of the real world very much does apply to Internet activity, commercial and otherwise. In On Liberty, John Stuart Mill elegantly framed the right of freedom of speech. He argued that if all mankind minus one were of one opinion and only one person were of the contrary opinion, mankind would be no more justified in silencing that one person than he, if he had the power, would be justified in silencing mankind. The purpose of freedom of speech, needless to say, is information. Healthy democracy is not possible unless the public is fully informed. Moreover, because the government serves the people, it has very little censorship authority. Complications arise when speech is not relevant to the practice of democracy or when it threatens social order, such as when everyone in a crowd starts shouting at the same time. However, once the idea of limiting speech creeps into the discussion, the slippery slope argument arises. This argument is that censorship inevitably leads to tyranny. The inverse of this argument, of course, is that the lack of regulation leads to anarchy. As such, ordinary civility suggests that some restraints are warranted. The path of this argument generally leads to the ranking of different types of speech, with political speech typically implying the least restraint possible. Noam Chomsky explained the risks. The smart way to keep people passive and obedient is to strictly limit the spectrum of acceptable opinion, but allow very lively debate within that spectrum. The point is that if the people have the sense that there was a lot of free thinking going on, the limits put on the range of the debate actually reinforce the presuppositions of the system. As a result, and particularly in the case of political speech, the people should be very cautious in accepting any censorship, because it is likely that they are walking into a trap. Alex Jones has made the same point.
And more than anything, it's that we create new talking points. It's not just what I cover or who I reach. Other media then picks it up, even if they don't give us credit. Our unique perspective on populism and freedom and the new Renaissance resonates and gives a countervailing talking point to the austerity of the New World Order, of the globalists, the stagnation of the corporate crony capitalist model. And so on the left, the right, and all around, people resonate with that. So it's the fact that the system of liberty had become so dim that even, our small flame of liberty looked like a huge bonfire to people out there in the dark. But as more light is brought into the world, I expect InfoWars to be made obsolete. And that, quite frankly, is my goal.
With this backdrop, there are at least 3 legal reasons why the social media cartel probably does not have the right to kick Alex Jones off the dance floor. First, it appears that Alex Jones is the victim of an antitrust conspiracy. Section 1 of the Sherman Antitrust Act provides that every contract, combination in the form of trust or otherwise, or conspiracy in restraint of trade or commerce is declared to be illegal. Section 2 provides that every person who shall monopolize or attempt to monopolize or combine or conspire with any other person or persons to monopolize any part of the trade or commerce shall be deemed guilty of a felony. The fundamental idea with antitrust law is that if we will not tolerate a king as a political power, we should not endure a king over production, transportation, and the sale of any necessities of life. For various reasons, the courts have made antitrust cases difficult to prove. For example, if two guys rob a bank, it is easy to infer that they had agreed to do so. Likewise, when the members of the social media cartel kicked Alex Jones off the dance floor all at the same time, it is logical to infer that they had agreed to do that. That agreement is, in these circumstances, an illegal conspiracy. The cartel is monopolizing the platforms for media outlets and is excluding InfoWars from that marketplace. However, while the courts will invite a conspiracy charge against the bank robbers, there are many barriers to establishing the antitrust conspiracy. The proof has to be more than the effect of the agreement. The courts generally require some direct proof of the agreement itself, and this kind of evidence is very hard to discover, especially when the courts demand to see it before granting victims subpoena power to investigate. Second, it appears that the social media cartel has violated Alex Jones's civil rights. Specifically, by oppressing his right to freedom of speech, they have violated his rights under the First Amendment. Section 1983 of Title 42 of the United States Code provides that every person who, under color of law, subjects or causes to be subjected any citizen to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunities secured by the Constitution shall be liable to the party injured. The linchpin of this law is that the actor who deprives another of a civil right must be acting under the color of law. For example, a police officer who willfully violates your Fourth Amendment right to freedom from unreasonable search can be held liable for his unconstitutional conduct. Similarly, where a politician orders police officers to crush a First Amendment demonstration outside his office is subject to liability. The case is more complicated where the politician orders a private party, such as a security guard, to oppress his protesters. The law does, however, recognize that when private parties act knowingly in this type of circumstance, they are acting under color of law, and so may be held liable for the damages they cause. Like proving an antitrust conspiracy, proving this type of concerted action is also difficult. Third, it appears that the social media cartel has interfered with Alex Jones's prospective economic advantage. There is no doubt that the internet is a place of commerce and that media outlets such as InfoWars are businesses with financial interests. When the social media cartel interferes with those financial interests by blocking access to the market, by inducing the breach of contracts which facilitate the business, and by attacking the InfoWars website, they are committing a tort. This is illegal and Alex Jones is entitled to compensation. In conclusion, the social media cartel and the politicians giving them their orders have made a mess. On the one hand, there was no need for them to deprive Alex Jones or nearly anyone else of the right to free speech. The law already has many remedies to punish improper speech. For example, there are laws which protect people from slander, and there are laws against inciting violence. The social media cartel would have been better off letting the law work. On the other hand, by acting against Alex Jones, the social media cartel now not only has a lot of additional work to identify and punish people who violate their rules, but they also have to set up some system of due process. They now have to answer who is making the decisions to ban people, what are the specific standards, and is there a right to a hearing and an appeal? This is not in their business model, and if it winds up hurting profits, the cartel members may face shareholder lawsuits. Moreover, the whole scheme is likely to backfire. If the power structure was concerned that a conspiracy theorist and his audience felt persecuted before, now hard evidence of persecution exists. If the power structure was concerned that this political force was the basis of Trump's election, banning Alex Jones has only consolidated that power base.